Everyone thinks the Riftbound meta is solved, but they're actually wrong. The China Regionals gave us our first real look at what high-level Riftbound looks like. And let me tell you, Kai'Sa and Master Yi were absolutely dominating. But here's the thing, what works in the East doesn't always translate to what works in the West. I played enough TCGs to see it happen again and again. Different regions, different metas, different playstyles. So today, I'm breaking down the results from the China, what they tell us, and what I think we'll see in Houston. In case you didn't know this, Riftbound was released in China first, and they had their first regional on August of this year. Let's go ahead and look at that data. The August regionals in China were completely taken over by two names, Kai'Sa and Master Yi. In first place, you had Kai'Sa. Second place, Master Yi. Third and fourth place, Kai'Sa and Master Yi. And 5th through 8th, you want to take a guess who was that? Yep, it was just more Kai'Sa and Master Yi. Basically, it looked like a 2-deck format, which I'm personally not a fan of a 2-deck format. I personally prefer rock, paper, scissors type formats. The Kai'Sa lists were all built around consistency, a few tech choices for the mirror like Retreat, Proto, or Sprite Mother. And then there's Ramp Yi. And honestly, this deck was the big surprise. It abused early ramp turns to drop massive bodies as early as turn 4. Once it stabilized, it just overwhelmed everything with pressure. And then we also had Standard Yi, which still performed, but it clearly lost ground to Ramp Yi. Ramp was just better at scaling and more ways to steal back the tempo, which is important in this type of game. Now, that's the East. But if you played any competitive TCG before, you already know what I'm about to say. The Western meta never plays out the same way. There's always some caveat or nuance to it. You may ask yourself why? Well, there's different play styles, different priorities, and honestly, sometimes there's just different mindsets in the game. So let's talk about what I think is going to happen when the meta crosses the ocean and when Riftbound releases here in the US on Halloween on October 31st. And again, the first regional qualifier for Riftbound is going to be in December of this year in Houston, Texas. Now, if you're new to my channel, I want you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can watch how I'm going to prepare for the first Riftbound regional qualifier. I'm excited that I got in to begin with because these things sold out so fast. And I live in Dallas, so it's just down the road. This will be an awesome opportunity to see how this game plays in a large stage. I also plan on doing deck techs, market updates, guides, giveaways, and live streaming some pack breaks. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and thank you for doing that. All right, so let's start with the tier S. These are the monsters of the format. And again, I think we're not going to be surprised there because I kind of already talked about some of these legends. So these are the decks that define the China regionals and will absolutely set the pace for Houston. This is probably the legends that almost everybody's probably going to start to play with. So at the very top of this list has to be Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is still the deck to beat. She's got one of the cleanest mid games in Riftbound. She's fast, flexible, and brutally efficient. Most of the Kai'Sa lists now run 2 retreats for the mirror and tech cards like Poro and Sprite Mother to edge out long games. When she curves right, you're basically just holding on for dear life. If you're not running answers for Kai'Sa, you're literally cooked, bro. GG. Game over. You're not going to make it. Now, the second deck we have on the tier S is Ramp Yi. So Ramp Master Yi was the breakout deck from China, and there's a good reason for it. The ability to cheat energy and start dropping massive units early is wild and extremely powerful. You go from a 2-drop to find your center and then suddenly you're sitting on 8 energy next turn. That is crazy. What makes this so powerful? Once that ramp engine starts, you'll start staring down an army of giant units that hit like trucks. This is the classic mid-range strategy, which I personally love. But here's the thing, Ramp Yi folds if you can pressure it early. If the West brings faster decks or stronger aggro, Ramp Yi might not look so invincible. So it really comes down to what is the playstyle we're going to be seeing at the first regional qualifier in Houston. On the third deck that we have in this is still Master Yi, but we're talking about the standard Yi, the old reliable. This version of Master Yi is still consistent, still powerful, but starting to show some cracks. Ramp Yi just does everything it does, but bigger. That said, it's easier to play and still rewards good fundamentals. So if you're probably going to start off with this game, maybe start off with your standard Yi build, then get your courage up to play the Ramp Yi. But I do expect a ton of players to bring it to Houston just because it feels safe. It doesn't matter. You're going to see both combinations. I think they're solid decks to take. Whether that's a good thing or a trap, I don't know, but we'll find out soon. We're just a couple of months away. So yeah, that's Tier S. The heavy hitters, the decks everyone will be teching for in Houston, or the decks that half the people in Houston are probably going to take. I'm really interested in seeing this meta unfold here in the United States. So let's talk about the Tier A. These are the contenders. These decks can absolutely win Houston, but it needs to be in the right hands, and typically is going to go to the player that probably had the most repetitions in those decks. Which, like I said, I'm preparing my journey to start grinding this right when the game releases on October 31st. So first on the list, let's look at Darius. To me, Darius actually screams Western meta. It's straightforward, it's aggressive, and rewards tight sequencing. If you like going all offense and no defense, this one's for you. And I'll let you know this. This is my personal playstyle. So Darius is literally on the top 2 decks that I'm considering closing in on and start practicing when the game releases. It's efficient, it's punishing, and already shows signs that it could be the 4th, maybe even the 3rd best deck overall. I think this is the one that we're going to see a lot of play happening here early in the US. And by the way, whenever a new game comes out, aggro is usually the first ones to learn how to play because it's the easiest. And it's always fun. Next up on this list, there's Viktor Control. This is the off-meta pick that shocked everyone in China. This deck was actually piloted by Honestly Sarcastic. It managed to 2-0 Ramp Yi using heavy removal like Harris Dragon, Riptide, Rex, and Singularity. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the same Honestly Sarcastic that was playing Flesh and Blood and Star Wars Destiny. He's a very good player. It's built with a ton of 2-drops, giving it one of the strongest early games of any control deck, and that consistently from Viktor's ability make it scary if it catches on. Next in this list, I would say is Ahri. Ahri's hanging out right next to them. She's not flashy, but she is reliable. Calm in Mind gives her incredible battlefield control and reactive power. If you're a player who loves holding up answers, baiting plays, and winning through timing, well, Ahri fits like a glove for you. I don't expect her to dominate, but in the right meta pocket, she can steal and could potentially steal Houston. You just never know. Now, that's Tier A. Decks with solid fundamentals that could absolutely break through Kaisa and Master Yi's stumble. Now, let's talk about the sleepers. The decks that no one's preparing for, but might flip the script in Houston. The first one I have on this list is Sett. This deck is what I'm calling the Buff Spender Bruiser, one of the best, fair, but strong game plans in the format. You're buffing units, trading efficiently, and slabbing heavy hitters that eat through slower decks. Western players love decks like this because they're straightforward, powerful, and built around Temple. And the second legend I have on this list, maybe you might not be surprised, but I think I'm going to have Viktor on this list. But specifically an off-meta Viktor list that's just begging for Western innovation. In China, Viktor was a very popular legend, and I actually think he's going to be even more popular in the United States. If someone could crack this deck, it would be leaner, faster, and has early aggression that punishes greedy Kaisa lists. If someone can crack the build just right, this deck could be a real problem. The bottom line, the Western meta always rewards creativity, and these decks are exactly the kind of spice that can blindside predictable players. If you're planning on playing Riftbound, product will be tight, so buying singles will probably be the best way to go. You can support the channel by using my TCG Player affiliate link. I earn a small commission every time you use it and purchase cards, and it's a great way for you to support the channel. The link will be in the description. Thank you if you do use it. It really means a lot. What do I think Houston's gonna look like is the real question. We are definitely gonna see Kaisa and Ramp B will absolutely be there without question. We might even see Standard D as well. But I don't think it's going to be a clean repeat of China where the whole top 8 is just 2 legends. My prediction is that we're going to probably have a Darius in the top 8. We're also going to probably have Sett rise into the top as well. And then I think we're going to have a Viktor sneak into the top 8. And somebody's going to bring a rogue list that nobody saw coming. And you know what'd be cool? I would love to see a Teemo list sneak into that rogue list, but we shall see. Over the next couple of weeks, I'll be testing all of these, running gauntlets, trying counter decks, and just trying to figure out what actually holds up in the matches. I actually will be doing live gameplays with some of my friends on TTS, and then we'll also be recording some games and I'll be posting them up and kind of chatting what my thoughts are as I play. But now I want to hear from you. What decks do you think will define the Houston meta? Drop your top 3 predictions in the comments. I would love to know your thoughts. Next episode, we're taking this theory into the real world. Locals testings, matchups, and trying to figure out which legend I'm going to lock in. I'm telling you guys right now, Viktor and Darius seem to be my top 2 picks at the moment. This is the road to regionals, and the grind is just getting started. Thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.